Hello everyone and welcome to Python Programming, a series where I'll show you basic programming and web development done using Python Community Edition. And in today's video, we'll be going over to variable declaration, we'll be learning the data types, and we'll be learning about user input and prompt all in once. So let's get started. The first thing you have to do is you need to install Python from their official website. A link will be attached in the description. And once you've opened that, and you go to the website. Right now we're in Python version 3.12, which is the latest version right now. You'll be brought to this screen where you'll be asked to create a new project. Now usually if you go to this 3-pad over here, you can see how to create a new project. So let's say you have certain different projects you want to do for different tasks. You can divide them, and within each project you can actually work on different programs. So right now if I go over here and I select on new, it'll create a new, can create a new Python file, HTML file, or any of these other types that are mentioned here. But since we're going to be working on regular programming, a Python file is what we need. Now what you have to do is, let's say, give a name. Let's say we're going to name it as test. Okay, now you'll see that the program has been opened in this tab. You can actually unpin this and this will become your entire screen. Now the first thing before we get into any codes is we need to learn what a variable is. Now a variable is like an empty box that contains or stores a specific information that you assign it to. Basically, like, let's say we want to attain someone's name. Say we're creating a survey and we want to attain someone's name. So let's say name is equal to, let's say, we need to add a quotation, otherwise a variable cannot be declared. Let's say we're going to write Steve. So right now the name Steve is stored in the variable that is called name. So now if I want to bring that as output, all I have to do is put print. The work of the function print is to actually print out whatever the variable or whatever an operation is providing you with. So once we add a bracket and I put name, if I run the program, it'll actually show my output as what we assigned the name as, which is right now here Steve. However, now that we've assigned the name here, we can actually also get it as a prompt from the user. Like, say you want to ask someone what their name is, you can do that. But for now, we're just going to go to the run key. You could tap on the run key over here, or you could press on shift F10 and you'll see that it's printed out the word Steve. And since we didn't add anything else, it processed the code with an exit code 0. Exit code 0 basically means there's no errors while running the program. But that's very basic thing. We can also add other types of data. For example, we can attain someone's age. Let's say we want to enter someone's age as, since the age is a number, we don't actually need a quotation mark. So let's say we want to add someone's age as 18. This will be stored as that. And if I put print age, and if I run the program again, you will see that it printed Steve and 18, and then it ended with the exit code 0, meaning there was no error done while running there. Now you can see over here that it says test.py. The py basically refers to a Python file, and we named it test. You can add as many files as you want here or anything, and you'll see specific code lines with this red dot here. Basically this means you can stop this line from executing. So when you're doing the final code, when you're hitting the shift run key, say you don't want one of these programs to run, if you press on this red key, this key will not run. However, in most cases, all the lines are fundamental. So if you shut off 1 or 2 lines, your entire program has the probability to collapse. Now, the value in Python actually changes every time. So let's say you assign the same variable with 2 values. So let's say score. So let's say you wrote score equals 100 first, and then you went down 2 lines. Let's say you put some code here, and then again you put the same variable score as equal to 200. Now since you attached this after this, Python will actually recognize this as your initial naming. So if I print score, you will see that it actually printed out 200 and not 100. This is because Python is case sensitive and it reads whatever has been last fed into it. It's also an interpreter, meaning it executes one line and then moves on to the next line. So first it read the 100 line, however it did not find any program to execute it. And then it read the line where it says score is 200, and the next line says to print that score, meaning it recognized this as the interpreted line and it translated that from machine code to the output. Now similarly, you could do a lot more things, or you could just not with the variables. The print function actually works without variables. Let's say you want to print hello world. You have to add a quotation mark if you want to print anything out as a prompt, and if you run it, you'll see it printed out without even declaring any variables. You could use it to display information. Say you're creating a form and you have some information that you want to exclude, like do not enter confidential information or something like that. You could type that in under the print command. Now let's move over to data types, which is a more important function. Now there are 4 types of data that you could use with Python, and they all have different functions and usage. So we're going to be starting off with the most basic data type there is, that is string. Now string basically means any regular text, any text that is not recognized as a number. You will not do any mathematical or numerical operations with it, or like you're not getting any yes no binary answers with that, meaning it completely depends on the prompt of the user. First we need to learn how to take a prompt from someone, but we'll get into that. Let's say we're attaining someone's name. Right here you see that I didn't put the quotations mark and it's being red underlined. However, once I add the quotation marks, you'll see that the underlines are missing. This is because the string command refers to any bug or any text that is not recognized automatically by Python, meaning you need to add the quotation mark to let the program know that this is a string data. Now that is string. Once we say print type name and we run the command, we'll see that it printed out class as str, which stands for string, meaning John refers to string. Now let's say we want to know someone's age. Let's say you're creating a survey and you want to ask someone their age. So in this case, since the data is not a string, you don't need a quotation mark. Let's say someone's age is 25, and we have to change the variable here, or else the code will not run, meaning there's no name variable in this file. Once we run it, you'll see that it printed out as class int. This int stands for integer, basically any integer numbers. Basically you cannot insert any fractional or decimal numbers in these types of data. And then we're going to move over to say we're going to know someone's score about something, or let's say you're creating a report card and you need to know numbers, someone's score on a test. Now that score might also come in decimal points. Let's say 10.8. Now if we run it, you'll see that the class is float. Float basically stands for any decimal, irrational, or fractional numbers in mathematical data. And last but not least, we actually have another data type that is called bool. So bool has 2 outputs, true or false, which are basically like yes and no. You're asking someone a question and in response they say yes or no, and in case of the machine code it's true or false. So if you ask the machine a statement about the program and that statement is true, it'll return true. If it's not true, it'll return false. I think you get the hang of this. Then this is recognized by binary. True stands for 1 and false stands for 0. Last but not least, our last data type is known as bool or boolean. Basically, bool stands for a yes no binary data type. Now it is recognized by 2 functions, true and false. True stands for yes and no stands for false in boolean, which is the binary function for 1 and 0, true and false. Now boolean is basically used to return any statements about the program that might be true. So you have like a statement in your program that executes correctly based on the output that you provided, it'll return true, and if it's not, then it'll return false. So it can be attained in a very simple way if you want to learn it as a data type. Let's say you ask a respondent a question and they give you a response. Let's say you ask a respondent for a question and they return the response as true. Now you'll see we don't need a quotation mark since this is a keyword and it is automatically recognized by Python. Now that it's true, we're going to print its data type. So print type and then response. Now if we run the command, you'll see it printed out class as bool, which stands for boolean, which is what we described a little while ago. This can also be false. Make sure you don't have caps lock on because Python is case sensitive, and it'll return as bool. So yeah, Python is case sensitive, meaning since I right here wrote response with a small r, however if I wrote response with a capital R here, you'll see that the program doesn't run. And here you'll see exit code 1, meaning the first line had an error with the code. Now this is something you need to pay attention to, because in other programming languages like CSS or Python or Java, you don't actually have to worry about the case. However, in Python, it is a case sensitive program, meaning if you change uppercase, lowercase letters, the program will not run properly. Now we're gonna go over to user input, which is going to be our final topic, which we discussed today. Now, user input is very simple. If you want to attain the result of a survey from someone, or like a response of any program from someone, it can be discussed under user input. It's also known as prompt, which is a more technical term for the data. Say you want to ask someone what their name is. So far we've been assigning the names automatically as well as writing the code. However, if we want to present this to any user, they will not be able to rewrite the code. So what can we do to attain the information from them? Well, first, let's say we want to get their name. We'll declare it as a variable, and then the first thing we need to do is to declare the data type. Now since it's a name, it's obviously going to be a string, so let's put str, and we're going to put our first bracket here, or parentheses, whatever you like to call it. And then we have to put in the keyword input, another parentheses, and in here we can add the prompt that we want to provide to the user, like it's already been recognized with Python. Say we want to ask the user what their name is. Now usually if we just run this, you'll see that it doesn't ask any questions, but you can answer whatever you want here and it'll exit the code. However, if you don't enter what you want from the user, they'll not be able to understand what it is that you're exactly asking for. So let's say we're going to put in here with quotations, enter your name. And just to make it look a little lucrative, we'll add a colon and we'll add a space so it looks more spacious once we run it. So now that we run the code, you'll see that it asks enter your name, and I can put my name here. But for now, we're gonna close off the code and we'll continue with the rest. And next thing we're going to ask for is their age. Now since age is usually a more whole number, we're going to assign the data type as integer. We'll attain the input and we'll put in the prompt, enter your age. Perfect. Now we'll move over to our next line, where we will be printing out the data. So we're going to put as print, say, name. And once we're printing out data and we've gone past the quotation mark, we can actually put a comma to print another data on the same line. Say you want to ask, like right here, what we're doing is we're going to put name colon, and then we're going to put our user's name, a variable. Meaning, once I run this, both of these will run in the same line. Similarly, we're going to do a similar thing with age. To end the quotation mark here, add a comma, and then we'll put in age. So now, if I run this code, using Shift and F10, it'll ask for a name. Let's say I'll put in our name, and let's say our age, and right here it printed out name as Alex and age as 28, which is exactly what I provided as my prompt here. User prompts are usually in the green color, and the output is usually white. You can also make this full screen. However, right now it has been down. You could resize it to fit the whole screen right here. And it exited with error code 0, meaning there was no error found within our text. Now, that's basically what there is about Python programming on the basic input-output scale. You could also go to other functions such as the conditional statements, like the if, else, or. You could go to loop. You could go to turtle graphics, which we will all describe in future videos. But for today, this is what we've gone through. We've learned through what variables are. We've gone through the 4 common data types. We've also learned how to take inputs, and we can also learn how to convert inputs into numbers with using the int and float command. And basically that's all there is on the input and prompt section, and that's all I'd like to say before wrapping up, and I will see you in a future video.